Hi guys, how's it going? I am very excited to be here. It is my first time in Pittsburgh, so it's also my first time speaking at a conference in full disclosure, so I have my notes on my phone in case I bomb it, but hopefully I can give a good presentation for you guys. So, like I said, I'm extremely excited to be here because today I'm going to talk to you about how to prove the value of brand marketing in a product-driven organization. How many of you here work at a tech or product company? Yeah, same, me too. So I know you think of Square and you think about like your coffee shop or like your hair salon, but we are very much a tech company. Our CEO is a developer, and weirdly enough, all of marketing actually reports into an engineer. So being a brand marketer in this company is an extremely unique challenge, and so I'm hopefully going to share some of the things that I have learned while being at Square and doing brand marketing. And this is a topic that is extremely near and dear to my heart because, as you heard, I was the number one employee on the brand team at Square. So when thank you. And to put that into context, Square is not the 2-year-old startup that it was. It's actually a 10-year-old company. So that kind of shows you how long it took to get them to really want to hire and invest in brand. So I'm really proud that I have been able to help build the team from just me sitting by myself next to the SEO specialists and the developers and all the performance marketers to the team that we are today. And that's a team of over 5 people, still small but mighty. And that's made of both brand strategists and brand marketers. And today, our team is leading the largest brand marketing campaign that Square has done to date. So in just over 2 years, we've gone from having absolutely no brand team to having over 5 people and leading this company's largest integrated brand campaign to date. But 2 years is a short amount of time, but it didn't happen overnight. This really did take a really big push. It was a really concentrated effort by everyone from myself and my other team members to really educate our stakeholders on what brand is and what the value of it is and how it can actually drive business metrics forward. So here's the problem that we're all dealing with. What's the ROI on brand marketing campaigns? We are all friends here. I get asked this question on almost every job interview I've gone on, and it happens pretty often at Square. And because we're friends and we've high-fived and we've hugged each other earlier today, I hate this question. And I find it deeply ironic that I am up here today presenting about it because this is it's my least favorite question, but it's a really unavoidable question. In today's brand marketing world and today's marketing world, it is more data-driven than ever before. We heard earlier that there are over 7,000 MarTech solutions. Things like Google Analytics and multi-touch attribution models have made it impossible for you not to get this question. And unfortunately, as brand marketers, as much as I hate to say it, we are more accountable to the bottom line than ever before. And as a brand marketer, you know that brand marketing is really hard to measure. It just is. It always has been, and even with all of the data that we have today, it is still really hard to measure. But just because something is hard to measure doesn't mean that we can't measure it. So before I move on, I'm going to just spoil the rest of the presentation and tell you that I do not have a magical answer to this solution. I do not have an easy formula that I'm going to put up and just show you how to do the ROI on your brand marketing campaigns. But what I can do is I can take you through the steps that I walk through and what I've done to really help educate our company on how brand can be a really powerful business driver. So the first thing that we're going to do is state your goal. Then we're going to bring in the numbers and then put it into context. This has been really helpful for me and showing how brand can be valuable at Square. And I'm going to walk you through each of these steps and then tell you how I've done it for the latest Square brand campaign. So, state your goal. Seems easy, seems obvious, but it's actually something that doesn't happen as often as I think it should. Before you do any campaign, whether it is a large integrated marketing campaign, or you want to start a podcast, or you want to do a new article series, you should state your goal and clearly define what brand marketing is and what it can do for the business. So here we have goals like awareness, consideration, perception, affinity. These are pretty common brand marketing goals. And we here as marketers are pretty familiar with these, but you need to state these clearly. It's not always obvious to people inside of your organization what brand marketing can do. So by clearly upfront stating what you're going to accomplish and what your goals are, you can be a lot more successful than just talking about your whole campaign and your whole idea and then getting to the end and realizing the person had no idea what awareness actually meant. So how I did this for the Square brand campaign was I had to present this campaign to stakeholders across everyone from marketing, finance, product, and even engineering, because that's the kind of company we are. We bring everyone in to make decisions about marketing. It's just what we do. So I had to present this campaign, and I realized that I was talking to a room of people who had no idea, were just not familiar with marketing. So every presentation that I had, I started off my campaign presentation by clearly setting the stage. I talked about the overarching problem, and then I defined what brand marketing was going to do and what our goal was. It was that simple. But I had to repeat myself multiple times. It didn't matter if the same person was in the room last time I presented it, I repeated it every time. And setting that stage is super important because that will help you hopefully get ahead of questions like, brand marketing seems nice, awareness seems good, but really, how many sales are we going to get from this? You just carefully remind them that this is a brand marketing campaign and we're focused on X, Y, or Z. That will really help you with the education process that is so crucial to proving the value of brand within your organization. So, first one was stating your goal. The second step is really bring in the numbers. Brand marketing is inherently qualitative. I think we all know that. As you saw in the earlier slide, our goals are things like awareness and affinity and favorability, and these sound really nice. They're very touchy-feely. They're kind of focused on like those higher level metrics. But if you are not in marketing, that doesn't mean anything to you. You hear awareness and you're like, yeah, that sounds good, but I mean, how much ROI? How many sales? What's the CPA? It doesn't mean anything. So what you have to do is in order to be really well understood within your organization, you need to take the qualitative and translate it into the quantitative. I know that doesn't sound fun. You essentially have to take what awareness is, take that feeling, and put numbers behind it. How we did that at Square, we really took our campaign, and our goal was, we wanted to increase overall awareness for the Square brand. It sounds really easy. Like I said, we're still getting new to brand marketing. It's a pretty basic first level goal. But we were going to measure our brand awareness through our overall campaign brand tracker. That was our ultimate source of truth for the campaign. But those metrics only come out once a quarter, and I knew that was never going to cut it. In our organization, we needed to have something meatier that our stakeholders could really sink their teeth into and understand. I wasn't going to get the investment I needed if I said, I'm only going to report back to you on metrics once a quarter. It just wasn't going to fly. So what I did is I worked with my analytics team, and we identified 2 quantifiable metrics that we could take and tie it back to awareness. And those were lift in web prospect traffic and lift in brand search volume. We basically saw those as leading indicators. If we are increasing awareness, that should have an impact on web prospect traffic as well as search volume. And those were really great numbers for us because they were clear numbers, they were very easy to wrap your head around, and they actually had a very clear business impact. People knew that if we brought more people to our website or if our search volume was going up, that really meant a lot for the business, that was about us getting new people into our marketing funnel. So by tying our awareness metric and translating it into 2 very easy quantifiable metrics, we were actually able to give the term awareness a lot of meat. It helped people understand what awareness actually meant, and it helped educate our stakeholders on the value of brand. So the next step and thing that I've done with the brand marketing campaigns at Square is putting it into context. So I'm obviously very philosophically drawn towards brand marketing. I know in my heart that it makes sense, but it doesn't always to everyone. So what you can do is you can really take brand marketing and put it in the context of the larger consumer journey. Brand marketing does not exist in a vacuum. Brand marketing is it's not just there to just drive awareness for the sake of it. It really plays an important role in that overall consumer journey, and it's our job as good brand marketers to make sure that we are clearly conveying that to our stakeholders. So what worked really well for us at Square was really understanding how awareness marketing and brand marketing impact our down funnel metrics and our performance marketing campaigns, specifically looking at awareness marketing and our performance marketing. How did those two interact? And what we noticed and what we saw, and I think is actually pretty common across organizations, is that increasing awareness actually decreases your CPA. Seems simple, right? More people know about your brand, the more they like your brand and know about it, the easier it is going to be for them to convert long term. We really want to make sure that brand marketing is really not understood as making the sale today, but we understand that it helps make a better sale tomorrow and the day after. So if you can take your brand marketing campaigns and show where it drives impact all the way through the funnel, you can be really successful. And for us, I would say that showing the improvement in performance campaign CPA across all of our marketing campaigns was probably the most impactful thing to getting us the money that we needed to launch our brand marketing campaign. We hypothesized that in the beginning, and we were proven to be successful, but showing that journey and how it would help those performance marketing metrics that everyone was really comfortable with was ultimately what made us super successful early on. So we talked about 3 easy steps. There's not that simple calculation, which I really wish I could give you guys, and if anyone else does know it, please tell me. I'm dying to know it. But the steps that I've taken have really helped educate our stakeholders and show the value of brand marketing in a really tangible way that it's really hard to ignore. But it's not easy. And so I'm going to leave you with this pro tip, which is get creative. What I've identified and what works really well for me at Square is tying the brand marketing to performance marketing metrics. And that's because those performance marketing metrics and our CPA and our acquisition costs are really well regarded within the company, and they're seen as very key business drivers. But that's just my secret sauce and what works for me. It's not necessarily going to be what's right for your business. So I really encourage you to look across your company, talk to people, especially talk to finance. They will definitely know what those important business drivers are. You should find those metrics that are important to your business and really try to identify how you as a brand marketer can help aid that journey and help move that metric forward. That can be anything from net promoter score, social sentiment, engagement, repeat visits, whatever it is, find that metric and find a way to connect it, because you are undoubtedly, as a brand marketer, definitely moving that metric. You just probably haven't connected the dots to it fully. And I will say that it's hard being a brand marketer. I did not get into marketing because I loved numbers. I actually do not like numbers. So I would strongly encourage you to make a friend on analytics. They are awesome and great, fantastic people who can really take your marketing campaigns and really show the results that you need. So definitely go out of your way, say hi to someone, bring them cupcakes, whatever it takes, but find a friend on analytics who can really help you prove the value. So that is really kind of my little spiel in a nutshell. It is really, to prove the value of brand marketing, you should just remember to state your goals and get comfortable repeating yourself, because you're going to have to do it over and over again. 2, take the qualitative metrics and turn them into really actionable, quantifiable metrics. And then 3, put it into context. Brand marketing helps drive the consumer journey. Make sure that you're telling that story for your stakeholders within your company. And then don't forget to get creative and find that friend. So that is all I have for you guys. I will say that it is incredibly hard to be a brand marketer. It is not easy in today's data world, but if you can do this, you will be a much stronger marketer. There is nothing that, if you can do this, you can do anything in marketing, essentially. I first came to Square and I was like, oh, this isn't fair. I have to prove all these metrics. But once you do it, you are much better as a marketer, and these are skills you can take with you wherever you go. So that, I will leave you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Leann.
Do I sit?
Sure, wherever
Okay.
you want. I will just follow you.
All right.
All right, so we have a bunch of questions coming in, and everybody, thank you again so much for using Slido.com to ask them. So our first question for you, can you talk more about the campaign brand tracker you mentioned? What was that, and what goes into it quarterly?
Yeah, so it's actually not a campaign tracker. It's actually our overall company brand tracker. So it is run by a third party. It surveys both current customers and prospective customers, and it tracks all of our brand health metrics, including awareness, consideration, favorability, as well as attributes and values that we're trying to assign to our brand. So it's actually a really great resource for us, and it happens quarterly, and it's just through a survey partner.
Okay, so Chris wants to know what marketing channels are most effective for your awareness campaigns?
Yeah, so I think the Buffy talk talked a lot about using social media. So social media was really one of our very first channels that we also used at Square. It was always really effective for us, but we just were tapping out on that channel and we weren't able to really bring any new prospects in to our campaigns. So our awareness campaigns were really about opening up the funnel and trying new channels we haven't done before. And so those channels were things like podcast, actual addressable TV, connected TVs, more digital video. It was really about moving up the funnel and finding those wider reach tactics. It took a lot to get people comfortable with this internally because those tactics by their nature are just they're just not as targetable. And so it takes a little bit of a risk, but we are really we needed to take that risk in order to open up our funnel because we just weren't able to really reach the scale that we needed through our tried and true social channels anymore.
Sure, okay. So if you have a small marketing team, let's say 4 people, for all marketing functions, including PR, analytics, social, SEO, email, etc., how does brand fall into the mix?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Brand is going to be inherent throughout all of your channels and everyone who's working on it. I would get everyone to be really thinking about a brand first mindset. One of the challenging parts about working on brand is that everyone is really a stakeholder in it to some extent. So getting everyone to think about how they are driving the brand, even if you have a acquisition-focused message, you can still make sure that it either looks and feels like the brand or that it also maybe it has a slight nod to your overall brand message. There's lots of ways to tie it in, but I would just encourage you to make sure that everyone on your team knows that they are responsible for the brand in whatever channel that they're working on.
That's a great answer. Okay, so what roles/capabilities were important in building your internal brand marketing team?
Yeah, so what was really important for our team was, there's probably like the PC answer than like the real answer. I would say the PC answer is like if I was like giving a talk at Square would be like, it's about people who are generalists and can really see abroad across everything, which is definitely true. But because our team was really new, I actually think what has made our team so successful was being able to really educate stakeholders and be really clear at explaining things. So really, people who wanted to talk about what they did and why they did it and had the patience to continue to explain that over and over again. But also having people who are generalists, when you have a small and scrappy team, it was very helpful to have people who kind of flex into different areas as needed.
So this next question I love because it totally describes the type of consumer I am. And the question is, how do you approach marketing to customers with a longer decision period to buy or invest in your product?
Yeah, so I actually think that's where brand marketing really comes into play. So at Square, it is a business product for the most part. We have people who kind of, shop for Square as a consumer, but it's ultimately a financial services product for a small business. That is not something people usually just go out and buy. They really take their time to consider who they're going to go with because their money is at stake, their business is at stake. Brand marketing can really give you that air cover that you need, so you are always kind of in the consumer mindset. And then you can connect that overall awareness message to your performance marketing campaigns to kind of drive a little bit further to connect the funnel between the two. But having some level of overarching brand campaign and brand marketing is really helpful. I understand that is not always a reality given with everyone's budgets, but you can find channels that really work for you that you can keep always on, whether that's having a really active blog, having a really active email strategy. There are things that you can do to kind of give yourself some air cover to make sure that you always have some point of contact with someone so that when you're ready, you're like, oh yeah, Square, let me go there first.
Yeah, some of us like to hem and haw for a very long time. Okay, so how do you balance corporate brand versus product brand marketing within the company?
Oh my gosh, does this person work at Square? I feel like they must, they must know what we're going through right now. Yeah, that is a really big challenge. We as a company are inherently sort of kind of combating sort of the corporate brand versus the product brand. I very much of the mind of one corporate brand, and that's where we lean towards as a company. And I think that's important because while your product is your brand is not just your product. Your brand is so much more than your product, and I think that's really important to understand. Your products obviously have to deliver and fulfill on your brand, but they are not going to give you everything that you need. And if you can kind of help tell that story, you can make the case for a corporate brand, which is what I've really tried to do at Square. Did that answer it? I don't know.
Yeah, you did. I mean, Square to me, it's almost like it's a vibe, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's a vibe.
That's great.
It's not just a product, it's a vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's most brands, you want to have that vibe. Yeah.
Totally. Okay, our last question. If your company has limited funds, so you don't have deep pockets,
Yeah.
what is the one tool you recommend investing in to prove or track metrics?
I think on the brand marketing side, having a brand tracker is really helpful because if you can do that, whether it's once a year or even twice a year or more often, once a year would be enough too, it can be a really good sort of health metric for the state of your brand, and it can be something you continually reference. So if your awareness went up 1 year, you can kind of figure out what did that do, or you can look, it went down, you can kind of like try to assess what it did. It's kind of a good sort of overall, I would say, just like bellwether for your brand, and I would probably invest there first. There are lots of ways to do it. You can be really scrappy and do like a Google survey if you have a really broad mass consumer audience, or if you have a more specialized audience like Square, you can work with a third party, but there's a lot of vendors out there who do it a lot more affordably.
Awesome. Thank you, Leann.
All right. Thanks, guys.